we want to pass the art on to you, right? We don't want to just take your money. Okay. We want to actually pass the art on because we want you to appreciate the art so that you can teach the art to others. We want the art to grow because this is a legacy from our Grandmaster Chi, and my father. And I want this legacy to spread. It's too good not, to keep it to ourselves. We want to be spread to as many people as possible.
That's awesome. I think everyone is like so excited to, learn from now on, really. So, okay, now, Master Yap, one last thing. What is the one advice or any messages that you would like to share with our fellow students who is started with our online courses now?
I think you've been with Kawai, and I've seen some of the feedback you've been giving, and I'm very appreciative of that. And also, I think, it goes to show that, our art has value, right? Because it actually helps people, right? And also the way we teach is we want to clarify things rather than mystify things. If you feel it's good and you appreciate yourself, what I can say is please continue practicing the art. And we as instructors, as teachers, we want to be open. If you have questions, you have issues that you don't understand, please address it to us, okay? You can do it online, right? But ideally, we would like to have a seminar where you can actually put the questions to us personally, and we can actually show you exactly or give you the answer exactly. That means, how do you do this, or what do you feel? But because we are there, we can actually touch you, we can, adjust your posture, whatever. We can actually make you feel what you're asking about, right? I think that we are confident of doing because we have done it. Yeah, please continue learning. Like they say, always stay curious. Always stay curious. And yeah, please do not hesitate to ask questions because questioning is a way of learning. We are not one of those schools that say, nope, keep quiet and keep practicing. No, we want you to ask questions, right? And of course, we want you to be able to come to a live seminar where we can more easily clarify things for you, see? So at this stage, the stage 1 and 2, where you learn to move the inside and you feel inside, I think the online is good. But the next stage, ideally, then you need to have it on a live seminar. I appreciate that. Yeah, you guys are learning the art, and I hope that you will spread the word. Thank you.
Thank you very much, Master Yap. So just to wrap up today's session in a nutshell, so we talk about the basics and also the histories of YSG, where does it comes about, and it has been clarified that it is not a simplified version, but it's a condensed version, and also the process of learning, the certifications, and also the relations of the guiding principles of Yi Jing Jing and also Xi Shui Jing here. Yes, we do have that guiding principle in YSG. Okay, and last but not least, of course, the initial stage of learning YSG currently as for our online learning session is going to be in this manner until the day ultimately we are going to arrange a live seminar, either it is here in Malaysia or either in your particular countries that you are in.
I think this has got to do with the learning principles,
All right.
Okay, I mean not as in a learning principle in Yi Jing Jing, but your own principles on learning. In fact, two things, right? When I teach, I always emphasize one of the learning principles is three things: theory, technique, and practice. That means that you must understand the theory of what you're learning. Okay, so we have gone into a bit of detail about that, right? In our form of Shou Gong, in our perspective of what is a Shaolin Lei Gong and all that. So the theory, right? The 6 stages of internal development. So that's the theory. Then you have technique. So the technique are basically the movements, right? It could be the exercises, it could be the forms, it could be the drills, whatever. So, but the important thing is the techniques have to bear relation with the theory. That means you can think of it as the technique is the physical manifestation of the theory. Because if the technique has nothing to do with the theory, then why are you doing it, right? So the technique is connected, has to have a direct connection with the theory. And when you do this technique, you must know, okay, what is this doing? And then so once you learn the theory and you learn the technique, the third part is, okay, this 1 and 2, we as teachers can help you. But the third part is practice. You have to do the third part because we can't help you practice, okay? So in a lot of any skill, right? I mean, you have probably heard of the 10,000 hour theory, right? That means that to pick up any skill, you need at least 10,000 hours of practice. So if you practice like 3 hours a day, that normally works out to be about 3 to 5 years of practice. So I think that is a very fair number. Whether you're learning music, right? Whether you're learning art, it's about 3 to 5 years of practice before you get to a competency level. So it's the same. So you have to practice. So this theory, technique, and practice, you have to bear that in mind. Whereas in some practice, they don't tell you the theory. They just say, oh, do the form and you practice. So without knowing the theory, you don't have a goal, really. You don't know what to aim for. And similarly, if you don't have a technique, you have a very fancy theory, but you don't have a technique, how do you achieve that goal? You can't either. Some people have a lot of theory, maybe very fancy technique, but they don't practice. So it's not going to get you anywhere at all. So all these three have to work together. Now, the other very important concept that everybody has to impart in their mind is what I call the power plant theory. Yeah, Kawan, you mentioned something like that. Let me elaborate a bit. Power plant theory is, let's say you go to a developing country and you want to electrify that country. So what do the three, you have to do basically three things. One is you have to build the power plant to generate the electricity. Then secondly, you have to build the transmission system, right? The cables and all that to deliver the electricity to the towns or the villages, right? Because without that, just having the power plant doesn't work. And then once the electricity reaches the home or the factory, you must have the tools, the things that will make use of that electricity. So the tools for your home would be your fridge, your aircon, your fan, all your electrical appliances. On the factory, of course, is all the machinery. How this bears a resemblance in martial arts and internal arts is this. The first part is building a power plant. So how do you generate your internal energy? A lot of people talk about Antian, breathing, and so on, right? With us is the strings and the jing and so on. You generate the energy, now you can store the energy, you can put it somewhere. Then the next part is important. What are you going to do with all the energy that is sitting in your Dantian? Can you bring the energy to your hands? Can you bring it to your chest? Can you bring it to your feet? If you cannot do that, what's the point? So you must have the transmission system. That's why we call it the connections, you see? How we can channel the energy from the strings or from the legs up to the fingertips. So building those transmission lines, those connections are equally important. And I find that a lot of people who teach internal arts, they mention the Dantian, the engine, the power plant a lot, but they never talk about the transmission system. What are the techniques and how do you develop your transmission system? They never talk about it. And then for us, also lastly, the tools. These are the tools. Your fist, your jab, chop. These are your tools, your grab, right? How to get the energy to go to your hands and use that for fighting, in this case, right? So that my punch becomes penetrating and powerful, my grab is strong, and so on, you see? So these are your tools. How do you use your hands, your elbow, and so on? So that is equally important for martial arts. But if you're not doing martial arts, fair enough, you still need the tools. Because why? You need to be able to project the energy to your hands so that you can use it for healing. So you still need that. You need your power plant, your transmission system, and your tools, you see. So always bear that in mind. So when you're practicing, say, okay, I'm building my engine, but how do I get the power to my hands? And after I get it to my hands, what do I do with it? So these are something that you always have to have in your head, because if you don't, then you're not going to get very far in your learning process. So all this comes in, what I call it, these are the fundamentals of learning principles. You must be clear on that, because otherwise, if you're not clear on that, how do you learn, right? Or what is not only how do you learn, but what is more important is you can't distinguish or you can't differentiate what is good and what is no good. Because if you don't have these principles, you cannot judge what that person is teaching you. Is it of value or not? You don't know. So you get fed with all sorts of rubbish and you spend 20 years and you don't get any results. These learning principles in your mind, then you're clearer on what you are accepting and how you can use that in your own practice, you see. So I think that's why this is important. A lot of time talking about this, because a lot of people don't have this and they fall into the trap of not being able to distinguish what is good and what is no good. And they fall prey to fancy marketing.
Yeah, that kind of makes sense. All right.
Yeah.
Yes. Is there anything else you would like to add besides all this, Master Yap?
No, I think I certainly like to meet up with more of your students. Some of them have come for a martial camp, right?
Yes. A few of them came from the recent martial camp in Chiang Mai the other day.
The last one, 2019 or the 2020
2020, the recent one.
Oh, the recent one, huh?
So yeah, they came about this. Then they told, oh, we have a YSG class, so we would like to just join in as well.
I think we certainly would like, unfortunately, right? We have the COVID-19 with us this year. It looks like a lot of programs may not happen. Once all this mess is over, I think, we should get together and, if you have inquiries for organizing seminar in your location, please contact us. Because at this point in time, I would say our emphasis is still on growing the art of Yuan Shao Kong. So we don't mind taking the effort to come over to your place, so long as we can just barely cover our expenses. We don't have to make a huge profit. That is not our intention at this stage, because we are growing. We want to grow. So we can organize a class such that we can cover our expenses, meaning our flight accommodation and so on. We are more than willing to come over and conduct a session. The best way we feel of spreading our art is for the people themselves to experience it, right? Because once you experience it, then you know that it is good. There's no point talking, really. So we felt that, this is the best way for us to market, is to actually go there and teach and let people experience it. While at this stage of growing, at least for the first initial 1 or 2 seminars, we'll be more than happy to go there, even if you don't have no large numbers. Yeah, you got enough numbers to break even on the costs and expenses. Let us know, and most likely we'll be willing to go.
Okay, so yes, I guess that's all the time that we have today, Master Yap. Thank you so much for very insightful sharing this whole afternoon. So I guess it's going to benefit a lot of our students over here. Thank you again, Master Yap, for spending time for the whole afternoon. Thank you, and until we'll see you again. Thank you so much. Thank you so much. Bye.